Hello and thanks for joining us. It's an important time in American politics, and we want to make sure Central Georgians are educated about the candidates they'll be voting for when they head to the polls.
Election Day is November 5th, and many Georgians have already cast their ballots early. We sat down with candidates running for state house districts in Central Georgia and put all of them in one place for you to watch. Take a look. In our Listening Lab survey, you told us about issues that matter most to you. We then took those issues to the candidates running for House District 149. That district includes parts of Baldwin, Bibb, and Jones counties. People in those areas who took our Listening Lab survey say they're concerned about violent crime, inflation, and taxes. We sat down with the two candidates, Republican Ken Vance and Democratic challenger Floyd Griffin. Vance is 70 years old, lives in Milledgeville, started his career with the Milledgeville Police Department, also served on Milledgeville City Council, and previously held the seat in House District 133 before new maps were drawn. He has 2 children and 2 grandchildren. Floyd Griffin is 80, lives in Milledgeville, served in the Army as a helicopter pilot in Vietnam, also served as a state senator for the 25th District and is the former mayor of Milledgeville. He has 2 sons and 4 grandchildren. Ellie Milliken talked with both Vance and Griffin about the issues you care about.
What can the General Assembly do to help with the problem of inflation?
It really goes down to the Agricultural and Consumer Affairs Committee in helping our farmers do the best they can as efficiently as they can so those goods can go to market at a fair and reasonable rate. In inflation, it's killing us. Going to the grocery store, $5 for a gallon of milk is and $3 for a dozen eggs is crazy.
Working through the appropriation process, and it really starts with the governor in providing a budget to the General Assembly to act on, and it depends on what's in the budget and how we deal with that.
People are concerned with immigration. Do you think it's a problem? And if it is, what would you do about it in Central Georgia?
You know, that's kind of a loaded question because you're talking about nationally and in Middle Georgia. I'm not sure if it's really a problem here in Middle Georgia. I know that we need to have people coming in to help with the jobs.
I don't think we're as impacted by immigration as many states, like Texas, like New York, like Atlanta. But outside of Atlanta, I don't think the immigration issue, as far as people flooding in, is as bad as it is in some places. I think we do a good job in Georgia, a real good job in Georgia.
What is your plan to deal with the blight in Milledgeville and surrounding counties?
You know, that is a very good question, but a lot of that deals with the local entities, the county and the city. I will work with the county and the city from a legislative standpoint to try to help with that, but they have to also play a major role in bringing their concerns to me.
With blight, you have to go to those property owners, and I think Macon's done a pretty good job of it. Go to those property owners, give them the amount of time to fix up their property, and if not, then you have to do those necessary governmental regulatory things in order to make it right. I do think Macon's done a good job.
In our Listening Lab survey, you talked about the issues you care about. We then took those issues to the candidates running for House District 150. That district includes parts of Taylor, Macon, Dooley, and Peach counties. Folks in those areas who took our Listening Lab survey say they are concerned about inflation, immigration, taxes, and gun rights.
We sat down with incumbent Democrat Patty Stinson and Republican challenger Carrie Moore. Patty Stinson is 54. She lives in Butler. Stinson has held the seat since 2013, even before redistricting when it was House District 139. Prior to being a representative, she served on the Taylor County Board of Commissioners for 8 years. She has 5 children and 8 grandchildren.
Kerry Moore is 53, lives in Americus, owns an insurance company. This is his first political campaign. Before that, he owned an extermination business and managed a restaurant. He has 2 stepchildren. Carmen Brown talked to both Stinson and Moore about the issues you care about.
What role has the state government played in inflation, and as representative, what would you do to address it?
I don't feel the state has played as big a role as in inflation as the federal government. I feel like fuel prices drive the cost of almost everything, and being energy independent once again would address that. On the state level, though, you want to reduce unnecessary taxes. You want to reduce unnecessary restrictions on small business, and then of course a balanced budget.
Just doing what I can as a member of the Georgia House of Representatives to support legislation that will help reduce those costs of daycare and child care and medicine and food and gas. Just supporting legislation that will reduce the high cost of inflation in the state of Georgia.
Do you believe there should be a change to the state's current tax rates?
They've already cut that. I believe that most of that stuff is pretty fair. Maybe cut taxes on manufacturing for a certain period of time in order to draw industry to rural areas. I also believe that international money transfers between individuals should be subject to sales tax.
There's always work going on at the General Assembly relating to providing tax relief for all of Georgia. For instance, during the 2021 General Assembly session, House Bill 265 was passed, and I supported that legislation, which includes an increase in the deductibility of medical expenses, charitable contributions, and business meals to help with the tax relief for Georgians.
What role do firearms play in your district, and what needs to be done to address it?
While protecting the Second Amendment right that people have to self-defense and defense of their families and personal property is protected, I feel that strong penalties should be enforced for people that misuse firearms and obtain them illegally. And I also believe that there's a need for more mental health resources in the district.
I support the Second Amendment. I want people to be able to bear arms, to be able to protect themselves. But I want people to have knowledge about how to safely handle a gun, especially leaving weapons in their vehicles where children and other people can get their hands on them, and definitely making sure that weapons stay out of the hands of people that are that are criminals, and that's more guns on the street.
In our Listening Lab survey, you told us about the issues that matter the most to you, and we took those issues to the candidates running for House District 144. That district includes parts of Bibb, Jones, Monroe, and Putnam counties. People in those areas who took our survey say they're concerned about violent crime, inflation, federal and state spending, and poverty.
We sat down with incumbent Republican Dale Washburn and Democratic challenger Anita Highland. Dale Washburn is 73, lives in Bibb County, told us he's been a real estate broker and consultant for nearly 50 years, real estate licensing instructor for 20 years, and a former county commissioner. He's married and has 4 children and 6 grandkids.
Anita Highland is 66 years old. She lives in Newborn, Georgia. She told us that she was born and raised in Norfolk, Virginia, and moved to Georgia in 1993. She says she is now retired and loves politics. Highland is married and has 2 children and 6 grandchildren. Jasmine Lee talked to Washburn and Highland about the issues you care about.
As a representative, what kind of impact do you think inflation has in your district?
It has an impact on everybody's district, and the people in my district are paying higher and higher food prices. For instance, I think food prices, both at the grocery store and in restaurants, are probably one of the things that people see and feel the effect of.
Cost of food has gone up drastically, and people's wages aren't being matched with it. And it's the middle class that we have got to build up. What, Harris says, that is so true. We've got to build it up from the middle class.
What role do firearms play in your district, and what needs to be done to address it?
Gun regulations, people go through classes, age limit. You can't drink till you're 21. Why you get to shoot guns? Now, for people that go hunting, for the kids and stuff like that, like a learner's permit, you gotta have a parent with you.
One young teenager shot another one at the Walmart and killed him. I mean, those are the kind of things that I guess I would think about and point to if I had to identify a problem with guns and crime and young people owning guns.
How will you work to ensure progress within the homelessness population?
Most local communities should take action to provide safe housing for people to get them off the streets. I do not think it is a good thing to have people living in tents out in common areas.
Definitely mental health. A lot of them, they need that. Some will be able to go back to society. Some won't. And we got to be prepared for the ones that can't. So to help them out, there's no need to put them in like a home, a nursing home, because they are productive.
Tonight, we're hearing from the candidates running for House District 147. Now, that district includes parts of Peach and Houston counties. People in those areas who took our Listening Lab survey say they're concerned about inflation, ethics in government, healthcare cost and access, immigration, and violent crime. We sat down with incumbent Republican Bethany Ballard and Democrat Ariel Phillips. Bethany Ballard is 50 years old. She lives in Warner Robins. She's a former high school English teacher and now serves as chairman of the Education Curriculum Subcommittee. She's been married for 28 years and has 2 children. Phillips is 31 years old. They live in Warner Robins. Phillips is a disabled veteran and manufacturing analysis at Northrop Grumman. They moved to the area with their wife after their military service. It is Phillips' first bid for office. Hunter King talked to Ballard and Phillips about the issues you care about.
How do you plan to address rising inflation and its impact on everyday expenses for Houston County residents?
As a state government, we have very little to do with the rate of inflation that comes from mismanagement at the federal level. But what we have done in the House and in the Senate, and we've passed it this year, we have returned $1.1 billion back to our taxpayers, to hardworking Georgians.
I think that the first and most important thing that needs to happen is raising the minimum wage, because with inflation, prices are going up, but people aren't getting paid anymore. That money's going somewhere. It needs to at some point go back down to the workers so then they can repartake in society because they'll have money again.
What measures would you propose to reduce violent crime in Houston County?
We need common sense gun control, and for me that looks like a 3-day waiting period. That's something they implemented in Canada that's proven to cut back on domestic violence. So you have to wait 3 days before you can purchase a firearm, so you have time to cool off. Mandatory background checks. There are closed gun show loopholes. You can go into a gun show and not have any kind of background check and walk out with a gun.
We have expanded the number of crimes that need bail so that our violent criminals are not just out amongst our citizens and out in the streets. It's not violent crime, but we have given property owners more rights.
What is your stance on expanding access to affordable health care in Houston County, particularly for low-income residents?
I understand there's going to be a study committee this year as we move forward to increase health care access for some underserved populations. We are working very diligently to allow new hospitals to be built, especially of our rural areas, and to encourage doctors and nurses to move to those rural areas.
If we expanded Medicare, the amount that you would pay in taxes is less than how much you pay for private insurance, which isn't guaranteed to cover your health care already. So you would pay less in overall, just more in taxes, to get better health care, to get access to better health care. A majority of rural counties in Georgia don't have access to healthcare. They don't have hospitals. They don't have clinics. They have to drive a really far way to get to anything.
Tonight we're hearing from the candidates running for a new seat, House District 145. That district now includes parts of Bibb and Monroe counties. People in those areas who took our Listening Lab survey say they're concerned about road conditions, violent crime, and inflation.
We sat down with the two candidates, Democrat Tangi Herring and Republican Noah Harbuck. Harbuck is 28, lives in Forsyth, a customer service manager at a local State Farm office. In the past, he has served as the assistant of athletic operations at Mercer University. He's married and has two young sons.
Herring is 53 years old. She lives in Macon. Herring manages a nonprofit called the Why Not Us Foundation. She says it focuses on community youth engagement and education on social issues. Herring is married and has 3 grown children. Naomi Washington talked to Harbuck and Herring about the issues you care about.
How do you plan to address the road conditions in the district?
I believe there's grants that Macon has applied for and they've gotten to improve the roads, and anything that we can find for Macon and Monroe County, we'd love to find that for them, find the money for them that the state gives the opportunity to use.
It is my job to make sure that I bring those resources back to my community, to District 145 and to Middle Georgia as a whole. So my job is to work with our local government and make sure that I bring resources that will help them achieve what they need to with the infrastructure issues and potholes.
How would you propose reducing violent crimes in the district?
You know, violent crime is an issue, but I really think that here in Macon-Bibb especially, our mayor's office has been working hard to address the issue along with Sheriff Davis. We need to make sure that we implement more pay for our officers and also provide them with more technology and all of the resources that they need to be successful and help our citizens stay safe.
First, it starts off with having a DA that wins murder cases. There's a DA in Middle Georgia that has not won some cases, and we got to make sure that they're getting enough evidence to convict these criminals that have gone and killed somebody, and to keep them off the streets and not just to let them go.
How do you plan to address inflation and its impact on expenses for people in the district?
It starts with insurance rates for me. If we can get your insurance rates back down, that'll help your wallet when you go to the grocery store. Most of that stuff's going to be taken care of at a federal level, I believe, and making sure Georgians, we keep cutting taxes.
We have to make sure that we're taking care of our middle class. We have so many families who are working hard every single day to take care of their families, and we have to make sure that we are not, lowering taxes for the rich, but we're taking care of the middle class by not putting tax hikes on them and taxing things from gas and groceries.
Tonight, we're sitting down with the candidates running for House District 143. Now, that district includes parts of Bibb and now Houston counties. People in those areas who took our Listening Lab survey say they're concerned about violent crime, road conditions, poverty and homelessness, inflation, and good-paying jobs. We sat down with the candidates, Democrat Anissa Jones and Republican Barbara Boyer. They're vying to fill the seat of James Beverly, who announced in March he would not seek re-election. Boyer is 69 years old. She lives in downtown Macon. Boyer is an attorney with Boyer Terry LLC law firm and practices with her husband, Wesley. They co-own an antique shop in Vineville. She formerly served as president of Middle Georgia Community Food Bank. In her first bid for office, it is her first bid for office. And Jones is 53 years old. She lives in downtown Macon. Jones is the first African-American chiropractor in Macon and is also an author and speaker. She previously served as vice chair and District 1 commissioner for the Macon Water Authority. She's run her own practice for more than 20 years. Maggie Fitzgerald talked to Boyer and Jones about the issues you care about.
How do you plan to address rising inflation and its impact on everyday expenses for Bibb County residents?
People deserve to have a livable wage to be able to take care of their needs and the needs of their family, and the only way that we're going to be able to do that is by giving some type of incentive to our small business owners so that they're able to do that. Whether it comes by some type of tax incentive or whether or not it comes by doing something, maybe a low interest loan, we're gonna have to be able to feed that engine, because most of the jobs that we have are being done by our small business owners.
I really want to see small businesses and other businesses come to Macon. And I think that would help with all the inflation that we have. If we had some businesses and lower gas prices, I think that would help a lot. And being in the state, you know, there's different ways that we can have lower gas prices. I know the governor did some good things about taking the tax off of gas for a while, and that helped a lot of people and a lot of businesses.
How do you plan to engage with community leaders like Sheriff David Davis or commission leaders to create safer neighborhoods?
Everybody should get together and have meetings, you know, on a regular basis to talk about the different issues that are affecting this community, and just put our heads together to see what we can do to make everything work better for everybody in the community, not just for certain sections of the community, but for everybody.
People want to make sure that they're safe. People want to make sure that their mental health is taken seriously. People want to make sure that when it comes to their health care that they're getting the best and they're able to afford it. So you need to make sure first you go to the people where they are, you talk to them first, and then you sit down with your city leaders and you come up with a plan to address the needs of the folks that you've talked to.
So what comprehensive strategies do you propose to address the root causes of poverty and homelessness in our community, and how will you measure their effectiveness?
Yeah, we want to work with groups that are already boots on the ground with this thing. Homelessness is something that I see every day. I live downtown. It's something that you can't close your eyes on. It affects everybody because it is a public safety issue.
Everything is interconnected, and you can't just look at poverty. You have to look at education. You have to look at jobs. You have to look at bringing people here. You got to look at road conditions. You know, everything is interconnected. So it's like a big jigsaw puzzle that we need to work on. And so I think that's why I really got interested in doing it, because I've been looking at these situations, you know, from just a personal level and saying, what can we do about it?
Hi, we're hearing from candidates running for House District 142, which includes part of Macon-Bibb County. We took the issues you care about directly to the candidates. Folks in Bibb County who took our listening lab survey say they're concerned about violent crime, road conditions, poverty, homelessness, inflation, and also being able to find a good-paying job. We sat down with the candidates, incumbent Democrat Miriam Parris and Republican challenger Calvin Palmer. Parris is 64, lives in Macon, has served as representative for District 142 since 2017, previously served in the state Senate for the 26th district. Palmer is 75, lives in Macon, self-employed, owns a mattress store on Emory Highway, and has 3 children. Camila Williams talked to Parris and Palmer about the issues you care about.
How will you work with local law enforcement to address violent crime in the county?
I have a really good working relationship with the commissioners and the mayor. So it makes it a seamless effort for me to get in contact with the mayor or the mayor pro tem or my commission. Well, my commissioner is the mayor pro tem, but it makes it very easy for me to contact them.
I think the common concept for everybody is when somebody does an egregious crime, to put them in jail and keep them in jail until they have paid their debt to society. And so we're not trying to come up with some magic formula, but if they do a crime, they need to go to jail.
What policy changes are needed to reduce homelessness in the county?
Government should be involved, I think, in trying to help homeless people, but you got to figure out what level this homeless person's at. And you can't just put everybody under one category. Find out why you're homeless and then work with that.
Housing prices have skyrocketed, rent has skyrocketed. So until we are able to replenish the amount of houses that are affordable, that people can purchase with a 40-hour-a-week job, then we're just looking at more of the same.
And what would you like to do to address inflation?
At the state, we're doing everything we can to get the governor to look at outside of Atlanta for job opportunities, for career opportunities. And it's always my push for them to look outside of Atlanta, Georgia, and start looking at Middle Georgia for economic opportunities for the people that live here.
We're going to have to do some regime changing because of the thought processes. The cost of living is obviously too high. People can't afford gas, groceries, and things of this nature. We have to put a regime in there that will lower taxes, will allow businesses to thrive.
Tonight, our political profile series ends with House District 128. That district includes parts of Hancock, Washington, and Baldwin counties. People in those areas who took our listening lab survey say they're concerned about violent crime, health care, and specifically mental health care costs and access.
We sat down with the candidates, incumbent Democrat Mac Jackson and Republican challenger Tracy Wheeler. Jackson is 73 years old. He lives in Sandersville. He's retired from the Department of Corrections and was an office manager in Washington County. He's married and has 2 children.
Wheeler is 59, lives in Sandersville. At the beginning of her career, she worked at a freight line. She ran a restaurant for 16 years, married with 2 sons. Camila Williams talked to the 2 candidates about the issues you care about.
What policy change would you make with gun rights?
In the 2022 session, I passed House Resolution 881. And what House Resolution 881 does is encourage the teachings of Dr. Martin Luther King. This curriculum teaches nonviolence, and we encourage it, every school system, to teach nonviolence.
I just think they need to be enforced. We do have a problem with the gun situation, but I think it is more a mental health crisis. The gun rights, there are laws in place, but we have to do something to ensure the safety of our children.
How will you address the housing costs in the counties you plan to represent?
My plan is to try to get some industries and get some businesses to come to our district, and with good jobs, you can get housing. We need some private businesses to invest in our local communities to build some affordable housing.
We've got to do something about property taxes. We've got to do something, and that's what we're trying to do. There's some amendments on the ballot that will address that. House Bill 581 is a bill that will allow a county, a community, to collect an extra 1-cent sales tax.
How will you make mental health care access available in rural counties?
Counseling is much needed in our schools and in our communities because mental health is something that we have addressed in the General Assembly, and hopefully we'll continue to address mental health because it's vital to our citizens.
They need some counseling in the schools, and our law enforcement needs assistance as far as when they get a call that is not necessarily criminal, but they need assistance with the mental health issue.
Remember, if you have questions about voting in elections in Georgia, send us a question via email or social media. Our Verify the Vote team will get right on it and perhaps even bring you along to help answer your question.